Imagine for a moment that while the whole world was watching Istanbul, hoping for crucial negotiations, something much more significant was brewing in the shadows, in Moscow itself. What happened on May 9th could well change the global geopolitical balance for decades to come. While the international media scrutinized every detail of the Turkish talks, the real energy revolution was quietly unfolding in the Russian capital. Leaders from strategic countries flocked to the Victory Day commemorations, but left with much more than military honors. They took with them the keys to an unprecedented energy transformation. On that day, major agreements were reached for the construction of Russian nuclear power plants on several continents. Vietnam has just officially announced its intention to immediately begin preparations for a new generation power plant, accompanied by a state-of-the-art research reactor. The decision has sent shockwaves through the global energy industry. But wait, this is only the beginning. Brazilian President Lula da Silva has shown surprising interest in Russian nuclear technology. China, already a partner, wants to expand its cooperation with new reactors in addition to those under construction in Tianwan and Zadapu. The domino effect is spectacular. And then, in a geopolitical twist, Serbia, a small country surrounded by NATO members, dared to defy all Western pressure by announcing its plan to enter the civil nuclear age. Following President Vučić's visit, Belgrade loudly proclaimed its intention to build its own nuclear facility. This bold move speaks volumes about the transformations underway. Malaysia is not standing on the sidelines. Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim has traveled personally to negotiate the acquisition of revolutionary floating power units. These mobile power plants represent a major technological innovation that could revolutionize energy supply for island nations. Meanwhile, in the electromechanical workshops of the Spetsmash factory, something historic is taking shape. Production of the RITM-200N reactor core for Uzbekistan has officially begun. This country will thus become the first in Central Asia to master nuclear energy. But it will certainly not be the last, as Kazakhstan and Kyrgyzstan are currently studying similar proposals. Let's take a moment to consider the scale of this expansion. We are witnessing a veritable nuclear web spreading across the planet. Egypt, Bangladesh, Turkey, and Hungary are joining the club, while the Belarusian plant is already operating perfectly, validating this forward-thinking energy strategy. But why now? Why this sudden acceleration when these technologies have been available for years? The answer may surprise you and reveal a disturbing geopolitical reality.
Let's analyse the current global energy situation.
Even the West has lifted its taboos on nuclear power, finally recognizing that no credible energy transition is possible without this technology. The nations of Central Asia are facing an imminent crisis. Their Soviet-era infrastructure is reaching the end of its life. For them, nuclear power represents the most reliable and fastest solution to avoid energy collapse. New generations of small modular power plants are revolutionizing the economic equation. Accelerated construction, halved costs, and enhanced safety. But what is really changing the game is a recent and disturbing realization linked to the conflict in Ukraine. Here is the crucial detail. Nuclear facilities have become the only energy infrastructure that can withstand direct attacks in modern conflicts. Even the Zaporizhzhia power plant, despite all the sabotage of its power lines, continues to operate. This resilience reveals a disturbing truth about our multipolar world. Any nation that dares to attack a nuclear facility head-on would face universal condemnation, devastating economic sanctions, and potentially disproportionate military retaliation. This political protection creates an invisible but effective shield. This relative security, even in times of war, becomes crucial for small, vulnerable states. Their thermal power plants can be bombed, their dams destroyed, their refineries burned down, but their nuclear reactors will continue to produce the electricity vital to their survival. Consider the example of Israel. Despite its exceptional military capabilities, Tel Aviv has never carried out a direct attack on Iran's nuclear facilities or the Syrian research center in Deir ez-Zor. Indirect sabotage attempts prove that even military powers respect this invisible line. Recent events tragically confirm this. Gas pipelines explode at the bottom of the ocean, thermal power plants burn, pumping stations are destroyed, but nuclear power plants survive. They are thus becoming energy refuges in an increasingly unstable world. This protection is accompanied by remarkable physical security innovations. Russia's new generation power plants, with their multi-layered protection systems, can theoretically withstand the impact of a passenger aircraft. This robustness completely transforms the strategic perception of these facilities. In this light, the revolutionary project of data centers integrated into nuclear power plants takes on a fascinating dimension. Protecting vital information in these energy fortresses ensures government continuity, even in the event of a major conflict. This project is already under development and could revolutionize national cybersecurity. This analysis may explain the sudden surge of international interest in Russian power plants. It is no longer simply a matter of buying energy, but of acquiring a kind of atomic protective dome capable of drastically reducing risks in times of crisis. We are no longer just selling kilowatts, but geopolitical insurance in an increasingly unpredictable world. This transformation of civil nuclear power into an instrument of strategic stability deserves our continued attention. As these geopolitical upheavals unfold, let us never forget that behind the grand strategies, it is individual actions that reveal our humanity. In Caspiask, Alexander Yankin was fishing peacefully when a terrified child came running up, shouting that his little sister was drowning. Without hesitation, the school security guard dropped his fishing rod and followed the child to a murky pool of water. Invisible beneath the surface, the girl seemed lost. Alexander dived in once, then twice, before finally feeling the small, lifeless body. Back on the bank, he immediately administered first aid. The situation was critical, and every second counted. Local residents rushed to help transport the girl to the hospital, where medical staff fought for 2 hours to save her life. A miracle occurred. The girl survived and is now recovering in a standard hospital room. Alexander does not consider himself a hero. He simply says he was lucky to be in the right place at the right time. His modesty in the face of such an extraordinary act perfectly illustrates the human greatness that transcends all geopolitical issues.